The hearing room in the Hart Senate office building buzzed with tension, its air thick with the weight of history about to be rewritten. No ceremonial gavels, no polite introductions, just the soft click of aluminum as Elon Musk placed a silver external drive on the witness table. The engraved letters Doge glinted under the studio lights, a silent promise of chaos. He didn't sit like a defendant awaiting judgment. He leaned forward, eyes scanning the Judiciary Committee, like a man who'd already calculated the room's breaking point. This wasn't a hearing, it was a detonation. The chairman, Senator Hargrove, a graying veteran of too many Capitol Hill circuses, cleared his throat, his voice betraying a crack of unease. This committee, he declared, is not a stage for culture wars. It is a forum for facts. We will not tolerate the politicization of citizenship. His words hung, earnest but fragile, as every camera swiveled to Musk. The billionaire didn't flinch. He slid the drive an inch forward, just enough for the light to catch it again. The room braced. Across the aisle, New York Attorney General Letitia James rose, her movements deliberate, rehearsed, like an actor stepping into a spotlight she'd already measured. "Madam Chair," she intoned, voice dripping with practiced concern, "until the contents of that device are independently verified, I urge this body to reject its inclusion. Otherwise, we invite chaos. Algorithmic, racist chaos disguised as data science." Her words landed like a drone strike, buzzwords weaponized for maximum impact. The gallery stirred, some nodding, others already tweeting. Hargrove's eyes flicked to the press pool, then back to the drive. He leaned into the mic, his tone sharp. "Counselor James, this committee will not censor truth just because it makes your side sweat." A murmur rippled through the room. Musk stood, not rushed, not defensive, just inevitable. His voice cut through the hum. "Is there any nation on earth where citizenship is a participation trophy handed out for location rather than loyalty?" The question wasn't rhetorical, it was a blade, and it drew first blood. Before James could counter, Stephen Miller slid into frame, his presence as sharp as his suit. He didn't request permission to speak. He demanded attention. "Display the federal benefit flow chart," he said, gesturing to a screen behind him. The C-SPAN feed flickered, then stabilized, revealing a web of arrows, dollar signs, and eligibility loops denser than any border wall. "What you're about to see," Miller announced, "is not a policy oversight. It's a supply chain for manufactured voters, funded not by compassion, but by your paycheck." The chart glowed, a damning map tracing a journey. Illegal border crossing to hospital bed, then exploding into subsidies, WIC, Section 8, Medicaid, child tax credits, free lunch programs. Miller tapped the screen. "Start here. Cross the Rio Grande without papers, visibly pregnant. Within weeks, you're not a foreign national. You're the mother of a U.S. citizen. Congratulations. You now have access to more programs than most veterans." Gasps rippled, some genuine, others staged. A senator whispered, "Is this real?" Miller didn't blink. "More real than the oath some of you took." A pre-recorded video played next. A translator at the Mexican border coached expectant mothers. "8 months is best. The hospitals won't turn you away. The baby makes everything easier, faster." Heads turned in the gallery. One lawmaker rubbed his temples. Another tapped a stylus like it could erase the footage. Miller pressed on. "We've built an incentive structure where the prize isn't freedom or citizenship. It's leverage. One infant unlocks 4 welfare streams. One illegal act, multiplied by bureaucracy, equals a lifelong burden on those who followed every rule. He swiped the screen, revealing a cartoon infant surrounded by benefit icons. Cute, isn't it? Now multiply it by 5 million. Letitia James crossed her arms, her smile frozen, political. She had no rebuttal yet, but the cameras were rolling, and silence in this chamber was surrender. Miller concluded, "We haven't just opened the door. We've paved it, labeled it, subsidized it, and we're shocked people are walking through." The screen went black, then pulsed back with the words, "The taxpayer trap." The room didn't gasp. It braced. The silence shattered not with logic but with volume. Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez stood, clutching a crumpled, theatrically folded letter. Her voice trembled with rehearsed solemnity. "This is from a mother in Queens," she said, pausing for every camera to catch her angle. She writes, "I gave birth to my son in New York. He knows the American flag before he knows my native tongue. He knows liberty, even if this country refuses to know him." The gallery stirred. Some nodded, others tweeted. "I ask you," AOC continued, "are we really going to strip citizenship from children because their parents dared to dream?" Her words were designed to be retweeted, not answered. Within minutes, her live stream hit 1.2 million views, split between praise and outrage. Across the aisle, Musk remained still. No snark, just a slow exhale and a tap on his tablet. The lights dimmed. A grainy video flickered onto the screen. 1868, the U.S. Senate, Senator Jacob Howard, co-author of the 14th Amendment. His voice, restored by AI, filled the room with unfiltered intent. "This amendment extends to those born under the full jurisdiction of the United States, not to foreigner, not to ambassadors, not to those whose allegiance lies elsewhere." The silence returned, heavier. AOC had brought a letter. Musk had brought a time machine. History had called her bluff. Stephen Miller stepped forward, not with anecdotes but with a scalpel. The 14th Amendment glowed on screen, its text revered, but rarely read. "All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof." Miller didn't dramatize. "Would you like to know what those words meant before politicians decided they meant everything?" He clicked forward. Senate transcripts from 1866 appeared. Raw debates, the verbal DNA of American law. The phrase, "subject to the jurisdiction thereof," was never meant to apply to those who broke into the country to create a legal anchor, Miller explained. It was meant for those fully within the legal, political, and military boundaries of the United States, not tourists, not trespassers, not foreign nationals whose allegiance lies elsewhere. He pulled up comparisons. Germany, no birthright. France, same. Japan, absolutely not. "America isn't generous," he said. "It's unique. And like most things called progressive, the uniqueness is less a virtue and more a loophole wrapped in guilt." A video rolled, juxtaposing AOC's plea, "He knows the flag before he knows my language," with a cold overlay. "Citizenship is not what you feel, it's what you lawfully acquire." Miller's voice was unflinching. "Being born here doesn't make you American. It makes you present. The law makes you legal. Only legitimacy makes you one of us." Murmurs filled the chamber. This wasn't about interpretation anymore. It was about whether America knew the difference between a birth certificate and a blank check. Letitia James stood smooth, rehearsed, dressed like someone who had no intention of answering for anything. "We are not defending criminals," she announced, her tone polished by soundbite polls. "We are defending the audacity of existence." Someone in the gallery coughed, a suppressed laugh. She pressed on. "We don't hand out citizenship like candy. We offer it like faith, because every child born on this soil deserves to dream." Musk leaned to Miller, whispering, "If I had $1 for every deserve to dream speech, I'd be eligible for welfare." Miller smirked. Is she describing a country or crocheting a quilt? James delivered her final line like a televised sermon. "To strip them of their birthright is to strip America of its soul." A press table muttered, "Yeah, and that soul lives in a DNC email server." On cue, every phone in the room lit up. Liberty Wire broke the news. Internal DNC email confirms Letitia James advocated for birthright citizenship to preserve voter infrastructure in swing states. James froze, her face cracking, not in confusion, but recognition. She knew the email. She wrote it. And now it was writing her obituary. Hargrove raised an eyebrow. "Madam Attorney General, care to clarify if your definition of hope includes building a voter base one baby at a time?" James opened her mouth, then closed it. Miller leaned back, smiling. "Guess we found the real birthright." Hargrove tapped the mic. "We'll recess for 15 minutes, or until the internet calms down." It didn't. Outside, Capitol Hill erupted. Red hats and handmade signs clashed with rainbow flags and multilingual chants. "End birthright now," one side roared. "No human is illegal," the other screamed. The Jumbotron flashed, "Washer your citizenship for sale." Trending worldwide above Nasher, Letitia lied. Cable news raced for breathless phrasing. "Explosive leak." CNN. "Proof of electoral engineering." Fox. "Is hope now partisan?" MSNBC. A lone figure stepped to the press barricades. Staff Sergeant Miguel Ortega, an Army vet who immigrated legally from El Salvador at 16, served 2 tours in Iraq, and earned citizenship the hard way. "They told me I had to wait, work, fight for the flag," Ortega said, calm but firm. "Now I watch people skip the line because they found a faster way to deliver a baby than I found to earn a passport." The crowd stilled. In a hearing full of lawyers and live streams, he made the room feel like a country again. A reporter cut in. "Is the system broken?" Ortega shook his head. "It's not broken. It's bypassed. They're not refugees. They're marketers selling loopholes as justice." Inside, Musk watched the footage, turning to Miller. "Letitia gave them poetry. That guy, that's prose. Straight truth. No metaphor." Miller grinned. "If this was a courtroom, the jury just showed up with Twitter." The screen pulsed, not with graphs, but accountability. The people weren't just protesting. They were watching, and the chamber was realizing it wasn't in control anymore. The side door opened. Amy Coney Barrett entered. Quiet, deliberate, no cameras chasing her. She didn't need them. She placed a manila folder on the desk. No flash drive, just paper. A reminder the Constitution predated TikTok. "I've been asked," she began, "to offer a historical reading of the 14th Amendment. But first, let's be clear what this debate isn't." Her eyes locked on James. "This isn't about compassion, children, or immigration policy. It's about law, and whether those words still mean anything or have been replaced by campaign headquarters and polling firms." James folded her arms, smiling faintly. Barrett didn't blink. "The 14th Amendment grants citizenship only to those subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. That language was intentional. It excludes diplomats, invaders, and those whose legal presence was never recognized. Miller grinned like the Constitution was finally fighting back. Barrett turned to James. If your interpretation were correct, why hide the email framing birthright as a voter strategy? Silence. The folder said enough. Musk leaned in. She doesn't need to go viral. She is precedent. Barrett closed her folder, her voice steady. I've listened to hours of arguments dancing around the Constitution like children circling a pool they're too scared to dive into. Senators shifted uncomfortably. I wasn't brought here to echo feelings. I was brought because the law still has a voice, and it hasn't spoken yet. She paused, CNN cutting in, then stopping mid-sentence. The 14th Amendment isn't a marketing tool or a campaign strategy. It's not a get-out-of-jurisdiction free card for those who step outside lawful presence. She turned to James. If your interpretation were honest, it wouldn't need to be buried in emails or sanitized by monologues. It would stand. James didn't answer. Barrett gathered her notes. America doesn't need new definitions. It needs courage to enforce the ones we have. She left the podium, no applause, just the quiet of truth landing. The room didn't hush. It submitted. Miller stepped into the silence, folder in hand, screen flickering with Jurisdiction Clause Act. This isn't a repeal, he said. It's a restoration of clarity, sovereignty, sanity. A side-by-side comparison appeared. U.S. birthright law versus Germany, Japan, France, all requiring one legal parent. Elon says this slide triggers 5 law professors and a UN spokesperson every time. That's how I know it's working. He stepped forward. We're the only industrialized nation handing out citizenship like a hotel mint. Whether you paid or not, this act aligns us with reality. Being born here isn't enough. You must be born into the law, not around it. The text was stark. Birth alone shall not confer U.S. citizenship unless one parent is lawfully present and subject to full jurisdiction at time of birth. This doesn't remove rights, Miller said. It removes incentives for exploitation. It doesn't punish birth. It protects meaning. 3 blue state senators leaned in, nodded, and requested to co-sponsor. One whispered, "We've been a sanctuary long enough. Now we're a loophole." Miller folded his papers. Birthright isn't a promise, it's a policy, and broken policies don't get mourned. They get rewritten. The silence was thick, undeniable. Not a vote, but a shift in history's air pressure. James stood, heels clicking like a bad chapter's end. She didn't speak. Denial felt like performance art without an audience. She walked out, no reporters following. AOC, bruised in brand, posted a muted Instagram story, a notepad photo, captioned, "This isn't fair." It got 382 views, half from interns. Musk rose, handing the silver drive to the Inspector General's officials. "They don't need to believe me," he said. "They just need the guts to verify it." No drama, just danger. A trail, not a theory. AOC looked up, faintly defiant. "Proud of what you've done?" Musk turned, surgical. "If revealing how the law's been exploited makes me the villain, the script was broken long before I spoke." Miller added cheerful, "Relax. Nobody's canceling birthrights, just loopholes disguised as lullabies." The room was half empty, not from disinterest but because, for once, they'd heard enough. Weeks later, the Department of Government Efficiency's facade looked the same, but its digital signboard glowed. Citizenship isn't something you get, it's something you keep. A father and son passed by. The boy, 9, squinted. "Dad, what's a citizen?" The man knelt. A citizen is someone who doesn't have to start their story with an apology to the law. The boy nodded, not fully, understanding, but the answer felt non-negotiable. Inside, Doge terminals tracked fraud, waste, and the decay of meaning from pretending jurisdiction has no boundaries. James was gone, hashtags faded, but the 14th Amendment spoke for itself. Beyond courtrooms and cameras, the Constitution wasn't just parchment. It was a compass for those stubborn enough to believe being American means more than being born near the right GPS coordinates.